Okay, so if you've ever owned a Calathea, you know the feeling, right? You see those magnificent leaves, and then you watch in slow motion as they get those dreaded, crispy brown edges. It's so common, it's almost a running joke among plant owners. Yeah, you've probably heard this. You might have even said it yourself. This idea that Calatheas are just doomed to look a little ratty, that it's just in their nature to crisp up and die. We all just kind of accept it. But what if I told you that's just not true? What if the expert horticultural science says those crispy leaves aren't inevitable at all? They're actually a signal. And once you learn how to read those signals, you can fix the problem for good. So here's what we're going to cover. We're going to break down the Calathea paradox, expose the triple threat that's causing all the damage, nail down the absolute must-dos for water and climate, show you how to diagnose and rescue your plant, and finally, change the way you think about these amazing plants forever. So this brings us to what's known as the Calathea paradox. We buy them because they're absolutely stunning, right? But that stunning foliage almost always ends up with those chronic browned edges. This isn't just you being a bad plant parent. It's a very clear sign that the plant's super specific needs just aren't being met in a typical home environment. And here's the thing. The root of the problem isn't just one single mistake. Experts have identified a triple threat. 3 invisible enemies that are working together to sabotage your plant's leaves. It's the combination of these 3 that does the real damage. Threat number 1, toxic water. The regular old tap water we use often has chemicals like chlorine and fluoride. Now, they're perfectly safe for us, but for sensitive plants like Calatheas, they're literally poison. They cause chemical burns inside the plant cells, and those burns show up as dead brown tissue on the leaves. Threat number 2 is hidden salts. And I'm not talking about the salt you put on your food. I'm talking about all the dissolved mineral salts that are naturally in tap water, plus the salts that fertilizers leave behind. Over time, these build up in the soil, and they physically block the roots from being able to absorb water, even if the soil is damp. And the final piece of this destructive puzzle is dry air. Let's not forget, these are rainforest plants. The low humidity in our houses forces them to breathe out water vapor through their leaves way faster than they should. This rapid water loss does 2 things. It stresses the plant, and it concentrates all those toxins and salts we just talked about. So how does this all come together? Well, it creates something called the dumping ground effect. Imagine the plant's veins are like a pipeline. As water moves from the roots up to the leaves, it carries all those dissolved solids, the fluoride, the chlorine, the mineral salts, along with it. But when the water evaporates from the leaf surface, the solids can't. They get left behind, dumped at the very end of the pipeline, which is the edge of the leaf. This buildup gets so concentrated that it literally kills the cells, and that is your crispy brown edge. Okay, so how do we fix this? The single most important, absolutely critical, non-negotiable step you have to take is to change your water source. This one move tackles both the toxic chemicals and the hidden salt problem at the exact same time. Now, a lot of people ask, well, can't I just boil my tap water to make it safe? It sounds like it should work, right? But for a Calathea, this is actually one of the worst things you could possibly do. And here is exactly why. When you boil water, the steam gets rid of the volatile chlorine, which is great. But it does nothing to remove stable compounds like fluoride or those mineral salts. In fact, because you're boiling off pure water as steam, the concentration of the bad stuff left behind in the pot actually goes up. You're basically making the water even more toxic for your plant. This chart makes it crystal clear. Look at tap water and boiled tap water. They're ranked avoid and strictly avoid. The absolute gold standard, what you should be using, is purified water. That means distilled water, water from a reverse osmosis system, or good old-fashioned rainwater. These sources are basically free of all those dissolved solids. Okay, once you've fixed the water situation, it's time to move on to part 2 of the solution, engineering your plant's immediate environment to fight back against that third threat, dry air. The magic number you need to aim for is 50 to 60% relative humidity, or even a little higher. Seriously, this is non-negotiable. If the air is too dry, your plant will constantly be losing too much water, which means it will keep concentrating any residual toxins in its leaves, even if you're using perfect water. A super easy and really effective way to do this is with a pebble tray. You just get a tray that's a bit wider than your pot, fill it with some pebbles, and then add water until it's just below the top of the rocks. Then you just set your plant on top. The crucial part is making sure the pot is sitting on the dry pebbles, not in the water. As that water evaporates, it creates a lovely little humid bubble right around your plant. And hey, a quick word about misting. I know it's popular, but horticultural experts really advise against it as your main strategy. It only raises the humidity for a few minutes, and worse, letting water sit on those beautiful leaves is like sending an open invitation for fungus and mold to move in. It can cause a lot more problems than it solves. All right, now that we know the causes and the solutions, let's get into recovery. How do you figure out what's going on with your specific plant and how to fix it? It really all comes down to learning to read the leaves. Think of this chart as your official Calathea symptom decoder. If you've got those classic crispy tips and edges, that's our triple threat culprit: toxic water and salt buildup. The fix? Switch to pure water and flush the soil. See big scorched-looking patches in the middle of the leaf? That's a classic sunburn. Get it out of direct light. And if the base of the plant is mushy and the leaves are yellowing, you're looking at root rot from too much water and probably not enough light. Now, if you think you have that salt buildup from using tap water or fertilizer in the past, you need to flush the soil. This is a vital rescue mission. You take your plant to a sink or bathtub and slowly pour a ton of pure water, distilled RO rainwater, through the pot. We're talking 4 to 6 times the volume of the pot itself. This literally washes all those accumulated salts out. After you do that, lay off the fertilizer for a month or two to let the roots recover. So, how do you know if your changes are actually working? Here is the ultimate test. Look at the new growth. If a brand new leaf that's still unfurling already has a brown, crispy tip, that's your plant telling you that the core problem, either the water or the humidity, is still there. Healthy, perfect, flawless new leaves are the ultimate sign that you finally cracked the code. You know, when you put all this information together, it completely reframes how we should think about these plants. They aren't drama queens. Their sensitivity isn't a flaw. It's actually their superpower. They're like elite little bioindicators. So think about it this way. Is a Calathea really a difficult plant? Or is it the ultimate bioindicator that tells you when you've created a perfectly managed environment? A Calathea with perfect leaves isn't about getting lucky. It's objective proof that you've mastered its world. You're giving it pure water, perfect humidity, and the right light. It's not a difficult plant. It's a rewarding one that gives you visible credit when you get everything just right.